Dear students, at long last, the promised video with regards to my life in a suitcase. Now, you are aware of this project because you've done it last year at Marty du Plessis. Now, this is not compulsory to use for your activities at Ingo. So, what I am recommending is that if you feel, you need a conversation starter, because it can be quite daunting to meet someone for the first time. It is a child, it will be a teenager more or less, and just, they don't know you, you don't know them, and it's a one-to-one interaction, and you just, kind of talk about things. Sometimes it's easier depending on the personality of the child. Sometimes it's easier with boys as well, where you can play a little bit soccer and they can speak, and sometimes it can be awkward, and sometimes we need a conversation starter. I do believe that you've got some experience in my life as a suitcase, that you understand the goal of that. But I want to show you how you can use it as a conversation starter, and if you feel it's going well, then you continue with it and you complete your box with your child that will be allocated to you. So you've all hopefully now received your box and your stationery. It is yours to keep even after this project. When we go to Ingo on the 27th, I will bring an extra set for your children as well, and you can give it to them if you decide to use it. So you can decide to already start on the first day. You can maybe feel, kind of test the waters on the first day and introduce yourself and so forth, and then maybe in a second opportunity start with a box. So, and you can continue with it as you feel, it is serving its purpose. If you feel, it's not really serving its purpose, then you can stop it at any time as well. But I do think it's a good conversation starter. I do think that it will reach short-term goals with the learners as well, where you really accompany and you journey someone that you don't know, and you just, it is really the spirituality of attendance, where you give your time, your attention to a child that really never receives attention. Remember, they live in children's homes. In other words, they were not rejected by their parents, but maybe removed from their homes. They are removed from their family system. And in a childcare home, although there might be 10 children or so forth, you remain a number in many instances. So for them, just the fact that the university is coming to them and to just spend time with them and listen to them and so forth is really special. So, and you can prepare yourself for traumatic stories, but it's all up to the child as well, how much they want to share with you or not, and the child will also lead the direction of the conversation. If they want to go into their future goals, or maybe spend more time in their past to, work through some grief or sadness or trauma that they've experienced. And this is what is nice of the box as well. You can really go into any direction that you want to, and the child can also lead the process for you. So you'll see here next to me, I've got open this side. Yes, I've got open the activity as you also received it last year. Now I just want to show I made my own box as well. So you see there are different tasks and different homework tasks as well. Read through the document. I'm going to give it to you again. And as it goes with your child, you decide, do you want to give them this homework activity next time when you meet, that they will bring photos or things along or not. So you are really in charge of that. You can adapt this metaphor or just as you please and as you feel it fits the context between and the relationship of trust and compassion that is building up between you and the child. Okay, so I made my box. So the first activity or the first part is addressing the past. So you will see that you will use the larger sides of the outside of the box to indicate the story of the past travels of the suitcase. So you remember now from last year, this is the suitcase. This is the suitcase. But this is you. So it's a metaphor for you, as in my case, Juanita. This is Juanita. Now, what we are saying is that we are like suitcases. Our lives are like suitcases. We carry it along with us. It will show characters and marks and wounds as we travel along in life, because we go through different experiences. We pack certain things in our box, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. Sometimes these things act as motivations, other times they act as burdens. And the activity is around becoming aware of how does your suitcase look like. What did it go through? Where did it travel? And where do you want to take it with you in the future? And what do you want to pack in your suitcase? And the main premise is that it's your decision. What is inside your suitcase for the future is your decision. You can now unpack your current suitcase and say, you know what, this is too heavy for me. I don't want to carry this along anymore. I'm going to take it out. Or, you know what, I think that I'm going to put this in my suitcase, maybe the loving memory of my grandmother who was very supportive, because that will act as motivation for me in my suitcase. And so this is also how our lives are. So we carry the suitcase with us, and if we're not conscious of what is inside of the suitcase, or what the suitcase went through, and what it just automatically kind of gained as we travel through life, we feel after a while our suitcases are becoming more heavy and heavy and heavy and heavy, and we feel, you know what, I just want to chuck this suitcase. It's not new anymore, it's got marks or whatever, it's not useful, it is too heavy for me to carry, and I want to chuck it. Unfortunately, that is not how life works. We cannot just chuck ourselves, chuck our past and our burdens. So rather, let's deconstruct it. Let's take it out and see if these wounds cannot be our character, if our pain cannot become our strengths. No? If our weaknesses cannot become our strengths. Because, like with leather products, we say when you buy let's say a leather shoe, after a while, it doesn't look new anymore, but it isn't ugly. It's got character. We say, these shoes got character now. And it's the same with our suitcase. Our suitcase gets character. So instead of looking at our suitcase and seeing the damage on our suitcase, let's say, you know what, I think this suitcase has character. And the past and the wounds and also the triumphs and the happiness and so forth, the joys, has made me who I am today. And it has given me the capability to now move forward, even with this suitcase. So I'm going to show you what I did. The first section, if we reflect on, I just want to see which one I have now, is, what does our suitcase tell us about where we've been in the past? What are important aspects of it? And now you use the larger side. So it is the long sides, the long sides of the suitcase that you will record these things. And some of these questions can help guide you into what you want to say, or what you want to put on your box. So what I've used magazines, old books from my children, school books and so forth. I've cut out words. I've also drawn sections that I couldn't get pictures of. You'll see the sides as well. And I'm going to explain this to you now. So some of the question is, where has your suitcase been in the past? That tells you about the condition of your suitcase in the present. What marks did these past travels leave on your suitcase? What items did we get from these travels that we choose to fill our suitcase with? What items are of value and necessary to you to fill the suitcase with? And so what is valuable to you, and why are they valuable? Why are they necessary? And who are the people, the role players, provided you with these items? Then if we move on, I'm just going to go through this and then I'll show you what I did. The second one is to address the present, and this is now the two smaller sides of the box. And it should be used to illustrate the marks that was left on a suitcase and or the events that caused these marks. And now we're going to look more at our dramatic past, our present. So how did our past that was traumatized or a crisis or difficult for us, what marks did it leave in the present on our box or on our suitcase? Questions again that we might ask here is, what of these items are necessary and valuable and sentimental to you? Because you see now some of the homeworks that you can maybe give to the children is to say, search for items that you would like to fill your future suitcase with. So the former activity, homework-wise, said here to ask the learners to use the following week before the next session to gather physical items that indicate what they currently carry around in their suitcase. So in the next opportunity, they will come and they will tell you, this is what I currently carry around in my suitcase. In the next activity, you will then look at what is in your suitcase, and then how does the contents of your suitcase influence the character and the weight and the burden of your suitcase, and what do you choose to leave in here? And in the third activity, what do you choose to discard? What will happen if you take out these items that you don't necessarily like and makes your life a little bit of a burden? In other words, you carry very heavily on these items. What will happen if you take the item of a low self-esteem out, for instance? What will you lose? How will your future look like if you take that item out? And then also, what items do you want to put in that will motivate you into your future? Maybe into your future, for the future, when you face difficult times. What items do you think you always need to carry with you that will motivate you? And then the last activity will be to showcase your suitcase. Now, so to say, tell your facilitator about your suitcase. What did you learn about yourself as a suitcase? How did it burden you at the time? What do you need to pack to survive on your future travels? Tell us about the character of your suitcase. How did it transform the past throughout your travels, where it gained some bruises and marks, and in a condition, and what condition is it in now? Are you happy with your suitcase? If not, what do you want to change? All right. So what I've done here is to tell you a little bit of my past. So of my past, of my roots, who I am now, what has made me who I am now as well. Unfortunately, the material I got was in Afrikaans, so I will translate for you. But I'm telling you a little bit here of who I am from the past into the present as well. So I'm a South African, so it is South Africa. I put here, I'm South African. I've got friends, and my friends are very valuable to me. I feel that I received love in the past, liefde, and it's something that influenced me today as well, or the character of my box. My family is very important to me on this side. My family is quite important to me as well. You can see, I don't know if you can see, it says gesin and family. Here I indicated the importance of how or the value of the travels that I've done throughout the world, the cultures that I've met, the traumatic experience I've gained overseas, the exposure to different religions and other people and contexts and cultures, what effect that had or has on my current suitcase. I've got a picture here of Wonder Woman to say that I'm influenced by strong women, and I do think that I am a strong woman as well. And that is really, all of these things has made me into who I am, which I hope is a strong woman. And then what is of meaning is my religion as well, my values, my beliefs. That is something that I've also inherited from my family and from my religious background, all but something that I choose to nurture as well. I am also a parent, and my children has had a big influence on who I am and who I will be in the future. It has changed my life goals and my life perspectives as well. I like animals and nature. I find peace with my pets and the animals. I feel that I can see something of unconditional love through the pets that I have. And then also on the other side, how does it influence all of these experiences, past experiences, the way that I grew up and I was raised and what I was exposed to, how did it influence the character of my suitcase. And what I said here is that I believe that we learn through experience. Good experiences, bad experience, it really doesn't matter. That your experience and what you choose to make of it will influence the values you have. And so I listed some of the values that I did have influenced by my past. I've got the value of equality. I do believe that as created in the Imago Dei, that we are all equal beings. We're not the same, we're not similar, but we are equal in terms of our potential, and then also what we should be allowed to participate in. I do value life in general, human life, a life for the creation of God. And I do think that it is our responsibility as the managers of this creation, as human beings, Adam and Eve, to look after life, to nurture life, to support life, and there where death seems to be, to actively play a role to cultivate life and the growing of people and spiritual beings as well. Another value for me is menswaardigheid, that is the dignity of people. I believe in that all people deserves respect and has basic human dignity, and that in life, through experiences, there's a lot of things that can threaten this human dignity, but that is also part of who I am. And while I want to maintain my own dignity in the Imago Dei, I'm also responsible to ensure that I play a role in maintaining the dignity of all human beings, because we are all precious and valuable in God's creations. And then vryheid van uitdrukking, so that is freedom of speech, to say that we all have the responsibility to speak out against injustices, but we are also accountable for what we say within this freedom. Okay, more or less, this is how my past has influenced me. Then to reflect a little bit on my on the wounds that I've may have encountered in the past. I put this on the small side. So I would say that the bad experience that I've experienced throughout life has influenced my level of trust that I have towards people, and that is also a danger in my life. It's something I need to be aware of, to not automatically go back to my primal instinct and be distrustful, but to work through my pain and acknowledge that God is good, and because God is good, we're all created in His goodness, and that I can risk to trust people, because only through vulnerability and trust can I live again, and can I create meaningful relationships. So it has created some fear in me. The traumatic things that I've experienced in my life has created some fear, and that fear has the potential to rob me of my freedom and my sense of security, and that is something I need to be aware of. And then also all of these things act as a pollution. You can see there pollution to my soul. I've got a picture here of pollution, to say that these things are not from God. It comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of pain. And these are the risks that if I do not become aware of these painful influences and how it can influence the burden and the heaviness of this box, that it can in essence pollute my soul. But then also these bad experiences has caused me in the beginning, initially, to think that, life is dangerous. But it has changed my perspective as well. And it has made me aware that we have control over this perspective. So we can choose to see something good as either dangerous or as safe. That is a perspective. That's why I put the picture of the camera here. We choose the lenses that we look through at our traumatic experiences as well. So I think for me, the big thing that I try to carry with me is that it's all an issue of perspective. All right. So what do I choose to carry in my box, or what do I carry in my box? So I just put a few things per example to tell you what I've carried in my life, what I choose to carry in my life. So I do not have here things that burden me, because I think I've journeyed quite through that. But I can, for instance, say that, let's say, I put a lot of sadness. This is a tissue. So I've realized that I carry with me a lot of sadness and grief around. And then I decide that, does this sadness serve a function and a purpose anymore? If not, if it only burdens me, what's going to happen if I choose to take this tissue out and I throw it away? And then you might go into a conversation about that. And hopefully you'll end up with the conclusion that nothing. This tissue, remember, when it's wet, it is more heavy, can just lighten the burden. Throw it away. Take it out. It doesn't serve a purpose anymore. Grief initially serves a purpose when you want to respect that person or item or thing that you've lost and so forth, and you have to go through a period of grief. But after a certain period, it just becomes a burden. Okay, so that is just an example of things that you carry around with you that you might choose to take out. So what I choose to carry with me into the future are things that inspires me, are things that do not make my box heavy, but in fact gives me the courage to carry my suitcase through times that my box or my suitcase might seem a little bit heavy. Alright, so I've got my religion. So I've put a rosary in here to indicate that the salvation and redemption that I received from God is in essence my foundation, is what keeps me, what motivates me, what keeps me carry on, and also influence the type of relationship I have with people. Because God has shown me grace, salvation, and redemption, I try to show the same to other people, seeing that the krale are the other people. All right? And then also to not forget my past. So this is me as a child, a young child, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old. Not to forget my past. So yes, the past carries maybe bad memories as well, but the past is important. You should not lose your identity, and you can only know where you're going if you know where you come from. So the past is a very important aspect for me. Another thing is then my children. So I've got photos of my children, because my children has in essence showed me what is unconditional love. So if it wasn't for this precious gift that I received in life, 3 healthy children, I don't think I would ever be able to understand what unconditional love is and how God loves me unconditionally. And I try to let that motivate me, that it is possible in our sinfulness to also try to show unconditional love, even if it is only to your children, but also see the beauty in that. Okay, so, and they are my inspiration for going forward, and also being a model to them so that they can lead happy and joyful lives. And then also, this is a rock that my daughter has painted for me, and there is a whip. It's hope. It says hope. So for me, I carry hope along, because without hope, there's no future. Without hope, we don't get through difficult times. Without hope, our life is in essence meaningless, and for me especially. So hope and grace for me are the 2 essential parts that should always be carried with me in my box. Then I've got also fruit. Now, so fruit, I love citrus fruit or summer fruit as well, and it's also an indication of life and freshness, and I tried of positivity. So it is for me a symbol of positivity. So if you break it down, you smell it, you feel invigorated, and I try to always keep the fruit side up in life to remember to be positive, because when you try to be positive and see the positive in all sides, that uplifts your spirits. Another thing about fruit, it is a symbol for the fruits that we produce as followers of Christ, as fellow human beings, and that what we do in life, that who we are, if we're filled with the Spirit, created in Imago Dei, we can either bear fruit that will inspire other people as well, change this world, really turn this into the kingdom of God. Or if we decide we're not going to, produce new fruit anymore, it can become off and bad and fraught, rotten. And that this can be me, but it's my decision, it's my perspective. Am I a fresh fruit or am I a rotten fruit? Then I've also got flowers. I love springtime, I love summer. So this is just a flower to tell me the beauty of life. Do not miss the beauty in life, the small things in life that makes life beautiful and worthwhile. It's actually not the big things. It's the small things that you can identify every day. And I try to remind myself to try to identify something beautiful every day. Something like white flowers. And then also I've got a nappy, because I always carry a nappy in my car because my daughter is potty training. But and that is why this nappy for me is a symbol of how God catches me and protects me when I have a accident, glippie, we say in Afrikaans. So my daughter's potty training. So throughout the day she's not wearing a nappy anymore. But sometimes when we drive far or so forth, I put on a nappy for her because she can have a glipsie. She can have an accident, and then rather have an accident in a nappy. And this is for me how God is for me in my life. So I try my utmost best to live a life that will please Him and to change other people. But I am aware that if all else fails, and I am allowed at times to fail and have a glipsie, then God will catch me and there won't be any mess in my life. So one glipsie, one mistake will not ruin my life because it is caught by a nappy. I hope this gives you an idea of the activity. This is a brief and a summarized way, and I hope that the way I speak, I hope you can hear that I've improvised and really spoken from my own life. And you have to engage with your child in this way as well. You can't expect your child to share these things with you if you don't show them that you also did this, you also thought about this, and this is the end product. So really, I ask of you, if you decide to use this as a conversation starter, really put some effort into your box, bring your box along, and as a sparker for this conversation, tell them about your suitcase as I told you now about my suitcase. If there are any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will gladly assist you where I can. Okay, thank you, students. Keep well.